The bruise on Amara's cheek was fresh, the kind that started purple and promised to bloom into something uglier by morning. She pressed the concealer carefully against her brown skin, wincing as her fingers grazed the tender flesh. In the mirror of her cramped Koreatown apartment, a woman she barely recognized stared back. 28 years old and already so tired, so invisible. Before we begin, besties, please don't forget to like and subscribe. This is your only way of supporting us, as we also promise to bring you interesting and fascinating stories every single day. Mama, are you ready? Zara's voice drifted from the tiny kitchen, bright and untouched by the darkness that had filled their night. 7 years old and still believing the world could be kind. Almost, baby girl, Amara called back, her voice steadier than her hands. She pulled her sleeve down over the bruises circling her wrist, purple fingerprints that told a story she'd never speak aloud. The bandage on her cheek would have to stay. No amount of makeup could hide what Marcus had done this time. 30 minutes later, Amara stood in the elevator of the Wilshire Grand Tower, her cleaning cart rattling as it ascended to the penthouse. 73 floors up, where Kang Minho lived in a world so far removed from hers they might as well have existed on different planets. For 6 months, she'd cleaned his space 3 times a week. For 6 months, he'd barely looked at her. That was exactly how she needed it to stay. The penthouse doors opened with a whisper, revealing floor-to-ceiling windows that framed downtown Los Angeles like a living painting. Amara moved through the space with practiced efficiency, her presence designed to be forgotten. She'd perfected the art of invisibility, learned to clean around people as if she were nothing more than air. It kept her employed. It kept her safe. She was reaching for a high shelf in the kitchen when her sleeve slid down, exposing the mottled purple bruises on her forearm. Amara froze, yanking the fabric back into place, but the damage was done. Kom mumchwa inus, the Korean word cut through the silence like a blade. Stop. Kang Minho stood in the doorway, his phone still in his hand from whatever call he'd been taking. He wasn't a large man, but something about the way he held himself made the space around him feel smaller, more dangerous. Everyone in Los Angeles knew the name. Import-export empire, real estate holdings across Koreatown, connections that ran deep into LA's Korean underground. The kind of man you didn't look at directly unless invited. Amara kept her eyes down, her heart hammering against her ribs. Mr. Kang, I'm almost finished with. Turn around. It wasn't a request. Amara's hands trembled as she turned slowly, keeping her gaze fixed on the marble floor. She heard his footsteps, measured and deliberate, crossing the distance between them. When she finally looked up, his expression made her breath catch. Something had shifted in his face, something that looked almost like concern. Who did this to you? His English was perfect, barely accented, but there was steel underneath. I fell, it's nothing. The lie came automatically, worn smooth from repetition. Minho moved closer, and Amara instinctively stepped back until her spine hit the counter. He stopped, seeming to recognize her fear, but his eyes never left her face. Don't insult my intelligence. Someone put their hands on you. Who? With respect, Mr. Kang, this isn't your concern. Amara's voice cracked on the last word, betraying her. You work for me, that makes it my concern. He paused, then added more softly, do you have somewhere safe to stay? The kindness in his voice was worse than anger would have been. It cracked something in Amara's chest, and she felt tears threatening. She blinked them back furiously. I'm handling it. Sit down. When she didn't move, he gestured to the bar stool behind her. Please. Amara sat because her legs felt unsteady, because something in his tone made refusal seem impossible. Minho remained standing, but he leaned against the counter opposite her, creating distance. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. How long has this been happening? He asked finally. It doesn't matter. It does to me, Minho's jaw tightened. Is it a husband, boyfriend? Ex-boyfriend, Amara whispered. Marcus, he's Zara's father. Something flickered across Minho's face. Zara. My daughter, she's 7. Amara's voice steadied when she spoke about her child, the way it always did. He threatens to take her from me if I don't do what he wants. But I'm saving money. I just need a few more months and I can move somewhere he won't find us. Staying invisible long enough to escape, Minho said, and there was something in his voice that suggested he understood. It won't work. He found you last night, didn't he? Amara touched the bandage on her cheek involuntarily. I handled it. This is handled. Minho's voice rose slightly, then he checked himself, pulling back. I can make this problem disappear. I don't need. Yes, you do. He cut her off, but not unkindly. And whether you accept it or not, you're going to have it. I'm going to look into this Marcus. I'm going to find out everything about him. And then I'm going to make sure he never touches you or your daughter again. Amara stood abruptly, her cleaning cart forgotten. You can't just. I already am. Minho pulled out his phone, typing something quickly. Give me your number. Mr. Kang. Minho, and your numbers now. She recited it numbly, watching as he entered it into his contacts. Her phone buzzed a moment later with a text from an unknown number. You have my number now. Use it if you need anything, day or night. I don't understand, Amara said, her voice small. Why would you help me? Minho looked at her for a long moment, and something vulnerable passed across his face before his expression shuddered again. Because for 6 months, you've been invisible in my home. And this morning, I finally saw you. I don't like what I see happening to you. He left the kitchen then, disappearing into his office, and Amara stood there with her heart racing and her world tilting on its axis. For 6 months, invisibility had been her shield. Now someone had seen through it, and she didn't know if that terrified her or gave her hope. 3 days passed in a strange fog. Amara cleaned other apartments, constantly looking over her shoulder, jumping at every sound. Marcus had texted twice, his messages escalating from angry to threatening. She hadn't responded, couldn't respond without knowing what Kang Minho might be doing. On the 3rd day, as she was walking Zara home from school, her phone buzzed with a message from Minho's number. You and Zara are being watched. You're safe. MK. Amara's head snapped up, scanning the street. She saw nothing unusual. But somehow that message should have frightened her. Instead, for the first time in months, she felt something like relief. That evening, when she arrived at Minho's penthouse for her regular cleaning, he was waiting in the living room. Not working, not on his phone, just sitting and clearly expecting her. I'd like you to bring your daughter to dinner tonight, he said without preamble. Amara's hands tightened on her cleaning supplies. Mr. Kang, that's not. My restaurant, Hanel in Koreatown, 7 p.m., private room. He stood, moving to his desk and writing something on a card. The address, and Amara, he looked at her directly. I'm not him, I'm not going to hurt you. I know, Amara said quietly, and she realized it was true. That's what scares me. Minho's expression softened slightly. One dinner, let me meet Zara. Let you both have one evening without fear. That's all I'm asking. Amara took the card, her fingers brushing his briefly. Why? Because in 15 years, I haven't wanted to know anyone. And then I saw you hurt, and something woke up that I thought was dead. His honesty was stark, unguarded. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to prove I'm worth trusting. At 7 p.m., Amara stood outside Hanel with Zara's hand clutched in hers. The restaurant was elegant, red lanterns glowing warmly against the evening sky. Korean characters in neon proclaimed the restaurant's name. Zara's eyes were huge, taking in the traditional architecture and the gentle music drifting from inside. Mama, is this really where we're eating? Zara whispered. Yes, baby girl. Remember your manners, okay? Inside, a hostess greeted them immediately and led them through the main dining room to a private space in the back. Minho stood as they entered, and Amara's breath caught. He looked different here, more relaxed in his element. He wore a simple black shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, and when he smiled at Zara, the expression transformed his entire face. You must be Zara, he said, crouching slightly to be at her eye level. I'm Minho. Your mom works for me and I wanted to meet you. Zara studied him with the frank assessment only children can manage. You have a nice restaurant. What does that sign outside say? Hanel, It means sky or heaven in Korean. It belonged to my father and his father before him. Do you like Korean food? I don't know. I've never had it. Zara looked at Amara apologetically. Mama usually makes fried chicken and mac and cheese. Then tonight, you'll try something new. Minho gestured to the table, already set with elegant place settings and a pot of tea. I took the liberty of ordering dishes I think you'll like, but if you don't like something, you tell me, okay? No eating anything you don't want. They sat, and Amara watched as Minho patiently explained each dish as it arrived. Mandu dumplings that made Zara's eyes light up. Japchae noodles that she tried to eat with chopsticks, giggling when they slipped. Bulgogi beef that she declared was the best thing ever. Minho taught her how to hold the chopsticks properly, his patience infinite, his smile genuine. Are you Mama's boss? Zara asked between bites. I suppose I am, but tonight I'm just Minho. That's a nice name. Zara considered this. I'm Zara, I'm 7 3/4. 3/4 is very important, Minho said seriously, and Zara beamed. Amara felt something loosening in her chest, a knot she'd been carrying for so long she'd forgotten it was there. Watching her daughter laugh, watching this dangerous man be gentle, she felt the first stirrings of something she'd thought was dead. Hope, maybe, or the beginning of trust. As the meal wound down, Zara's eyes grew heavy, and she curled against Amara's side, fighting sleep. Minho stood smoothly. Let her rest. We can talk. He moved to the other side of the table, giving Amara space, but close enough that they could speak quietly without waking Zara. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Marcus Williams, Minho said finally. 32 years old, works construction when he works. 3 prior arrests for assault, all charges dropped. 2 restraining orders from previous girlfriends. He lives in South Central, plays dice every Thursday night, and he's $19,000 in debt to the wrong people. Amara's blood ran cold. How do you? I told you I'd look into him. I did. Minho's voice was matter-of-fact. He's dangerous, Amara, not just violent but reckless. The kind of man who'll hurt you because he can, because it makes him feel powerful. What are you going to do? Amara's voice shook. What needs to be done? I don't want violence. Minho leaned forward slightly, his dark eyes intense. Sometimes peace requires force, but I'll handle it quietly, professionally. He won't be a threat to you or Zara anymore. And what does that make you? Amara challenged. What kind of man solves problems that way? The kind who spent 15 years building something out of nothing. The kind who understands that power exists whether we acknowledge it or not, and the only choice is how we use it. He paused. The kind who saw someone hurting and couldn't look away. Amara looked down at Zara's sleeping face, her daughter's cheek pressed against her shoulder, peaceful and trusting. I'm scared, she whispered. Not of muckas, of this, of you, of what it means if I let you help us. Minho's expression softened. I haven't felt anything in 15 years, Amara. I built walls so high I forgot what it was like to care about someone. Then I saw the bruises on your face and something woke up inside me, something I thought was gone forever. He paused, his voice dropping lower. I don't want to go back to sleep. The weight of his words hung between them, heavy with implication. Amara's throat tightened. I don't know how to do this, how to trust someone who operates in shadows. Then let me prove myself, one day at a time, no pressure, no expectations. Minho stood, signaling the end of their conversation. Let me drive you both home, it's late. In his car, a sleek black Genesis G90, Zara stirred briefly before settling back into sleep in the backseat. Minho drove in silence through the Lowe's Angels night, the city lights reflecting off the wet streets as they passed through Koreatown's neon-lit blocks. When they reached Amara's building, he walked them to the door despite her protests. Thank you, Amara said quietly. For dinner, for Zara, for everything. Lock your door, keep your phone close. Minho hesitated, then added, I meant what I said, call me if you need anything. Amara nodded, carrying Zara inside. When she looked back from the doorway, Minho was still standing there, watching until they were safely inside. Something about that image stayed with her as she locked the door behind them. A powerful man waiting in the night to make sure she was safe. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur that felt like a dream. Minho was always at the penthouse when Amara arrived to clean, coffee waiting for her on the counter. They talked while she worked, conversations that started cautiously and grew deeper. He told her about immigrating from Seoul at 19 with nothing but his father's recipes and his grandfather's jade ring. About building an empire through determination and choices he sometimes regretted. About the loneliness that came with power and the price of respect in his world. Amara shared pieces of her own story. Growing up in South LA, her mother's death when she was 20, meeting muckas when she was young and stupid enough to mistake intensity for love. The pregnancy that had changed everything. The slow realization that the man she'd trusted was destroying her piece by piece. Minho started picking up Zara from school with Amara, his expensive car looking absurdly out of place in the pickup line. Zara adored him, chattering about her day while Minho listened with genuine interest. He taught her Korean words, smiled at her drawings, and treated her with a respect that made Amara's heart ache. This was what a father should be. Ka apa inus, Zara would call him, the Korean word for older brother that Minho had taught her with a laugh. Opa, look what I drew. But underneath the growing warmth, Amara felt the tension building. Marcus had gone quiet, too quiet. She waited for the other shoe to drop, knowing it would come. It came on a Tuesday morning with a phone call from an LAPD detective. Marcus had filed a harassment complaint. Unknown men had been following him, threatening him in Korean, implied connections to organized crime. And now, because of this complaint, there would be a custody evaluation. Marcus was using Minho's protection as a weapon against her. Amara's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped her phone. The moment the call ended, she was in her car, driving to Minho's penthouse with a fury she hadn't known she possessed. She used her key to let herself in, not caring about protocol or propriety. Minho was in his office, on the phone in rapid Korean. He took one look at her face and ended the call immediately. What happened? What did you do? Amara's voice was shaking. Marcus filed a police report. Your people threatened him in Korean, and now there's going to be a custody investigation. I could lose Zara because you. Because I protected you. Minho's voice was dangerously calm. Yes, I did. You don't understand. Amara's fury broke into tears. He's going to use this against me. He's going to say I'm involved with criminals, that I'm putting Zara in danger. He could take her from me. He won't. Minho moved around his desk, but Amara stepped back. You can't know that. You can't promise that. Her voice cracked. I didn't ask for protection that comes with these kinds of consequences. Then what did you want? Minho's composure finally fractured. To keep getting hurt until one day he kills you, to raise Zara in fear, to stay invisible forever. I wanted time. I wanted to save enough money to disappear on my own terms. Amara wiped at her tears angrily. I wanted control over my own life. You had no control. He made sure of that. Minho's jaw clenched. I gave you an out. An out that might cost me my daughter. Amara's voice rose. You used your power without asking what I wanted, just like he did. Different methods, same result. You decided what was best for me. The comparison hit Minho like a physical blow. His expression shuddered completely. That's not fair. Isn't it? Amara's tears were flowing freely now. You're a good man, Minho. I believe that. But you live in a world where problems get solved with force and money and fear. I can't bring Zara into that world. I can't risk her. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need space. I need to figure this out without you in my head, making me feel things I can't afford to feel. Amara's voice broke. Please, just stay away for a while. Minho's face was unreadable. If that's what you want. It's what I need. He nodded once, a sharp, jerking motion. Amara left before she could change her mind, before the look in his eyes could break her resolve. 5 days passed. 5 days of Amara cleaning other apartments, lying awake at night, jumping at every sound. Marcus's texts had started again, emboldened by his police complaint. You turned someone on me. Big mistake. See you in court. Zara asked about Minho every day, her confusion turning to sadness when Amara made excuses. Where's Ka Appa Enus? Zara asked on the fifth night, her little voice breaking. Did he stop liking us? Amara had never felt more alone. She'd spent years perfecting invisibility, but now that Minho had seen her, truly seen her, going back to being invisible felt like suffocating. She'd let herself want something more, and now the loss of it was crushing. At 2 a.m. on the sixth day, someone knocked on her door. Amara's heart jumped into her throat. She grabbed her phone, ready to call 911, and crept to the peephole. Minho stood in the hallway, soaked from rain, looking more undone than she'd ever seen him. She opened the door. It's 2 in the morning. I know, I'm sorry. I had to see you. Minho's hair was plastered to his forehead, water dripping onto her doormat. Can I come in? Amara stepped back, letting him enter her tiny apartment. He looked around at the space, so different from his penthouse. Zara's drawings covered one wall. A small kitchen table held homework and crayons. Everything was clean but worn, loved but threadbare. This was her world. I handled it wrong, Minho said finally, water pooling at his feet. The situation with Marcus, I should have consulted you first. Should have asked what you wanted instead of just acting. Yes, you should have. Amara crossed her arms, trying to maintain her anger but feeling it slip away. But I'm not sorry I did it. I won't apologize for protecting you. His dark eyes met hers. I will apologize for not respecting your autonomy, for making decisions that affected your life without your input. You were right. That was wrong. Even if it means I lose Zara. Amara's voice cracked. You won't. Minho pulled out his phone, showing her a document. The complaint is withdrawn. Marcus accepted a job offer in Oakland. $75,000 a year, benefits, relocation assistance. He leaves in 2 weeks. You'll have full custody. It's already been filed with the court. Amara's legs gave out. She sat heavily on her couch, staring at the phone screen. How? Does it matter? Minho sat beside her, careful to leave space between them. Yes, it matters. I need to know what kind of man you are. Minho was quiet for a long moment. I'm the kind who spent 15 years building walls, who forgot what it felt like to care about someone, who hasn't slept in 6 days because I can't stop thinking about you. He turned to face her fully. I'm the kind who will use every resource I have, legal or otherwise, to keep you and Zara safe. I offered Marcus something better than revenge. A fresh start somewhere else far from you. No violence, no threats, just an opportunity he couldn't refuse. And if he'd refused? Then I would have found another way. But I knew he wouldn't. Men like Marcus are predictable. They choose the path of least resistance when presented with something they want more. Minho paused. He wanted out of his debts and away from the people he owed. I gave him that. Amara stared at her hands, processing. I'm terrified of you. Minho flinched. I would never hurt. Not because I think you'll hurt me. Amara looked up at him. Because I think I could love you, and love has never been safe for me. Every time I've trusted someone, they've used that trust as a weapon. I'm not asking for trust I haven't earned. Minho's voice was raw. I'm asking for a chance to earn it, day by day, choice by choice. If you want me to stay away, I will. If you want me to disappear from your life completely, I'll respect that. But if there's any part of you that wants what I want, then give me the chance to prove I'm different. What do you want? Amara whispered. You, Zara, a life that means something beyond power and money. Minho reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. I want to wake up and have someone to make coffee for. I want to hear about Zara's day at school. I want to build something real instead of just building an empire. I want to matter to someone the way you matter to me. Amara's tears started again, but this time they felt different. Cleansing instead of desperate. What if I can't give you what you need? I'm just a maid with a 7-year-old daughter and more baggage than anyone should have to carry. You're everything. Minho's thumb traced circles on her palm. You're the first person in 15 years who's made me want to be better, to build something meaningful instead of just something powerful. You see me, Amara. Not my money or my connections or my reputation. You see me. I do see you, Amara admitted. That's the terrifying part. Minho leaned closer, and Amara met him halfway. Their kiss was tentative at first, testing, then deeper. desperate and real and full of all the fear and hope they'd both been carrying. When they pulled apart, Amara was crying and Minho's forehead rested against hers. "I can't promise you easy," he whispered. "My world is complicated, but I can promise you'll never be invisible again. Not to me. Zara will always be protected. And if you let me, I'll spend every day earning your trust." "Okay," Amara breathed. "Okay, we try together." The next weeks unfolded like a dream. Marcus moved to Oakland without incident. The custody papers were finalized. Zara's laughter filled Minho's penthouse as he taught her to make mandu dumplings and write her name in Hangul. Amara started to breathe without constantly looking over her shoulder. They built something fragile and new, testing the boundaries of their different worlds. 3 years later, Amara stood in the headquarters of Martinez Home Services, her own company. 25 employees, all paid fair wages and treated with dignity. Minho had provided the initial capital, but this was her vision, her achievement. She'd gone from invisible to unstoppable. That evening, in the penthouse that was now their home, Zara showed Minho her report card. All A's. He praised her in Korean, and she responded fluently, their languages blending like their lives had blended. Amara watched them from the kitchen, her heart full in a way she'd never thought possible. "Ko amma inus," Zara called. "Mama, ko apa. Nus says we can go to Seoul this summer." "Does he now?" Amara smiled, moving to join them. Later, on the balcony overlooking the city, Minho wrapped his arms around Amara from behind. "You know what's strange?" she said. "What?" "I spent so long trying to be invisible. Now I feel like I'm finally here, really here." "You are," Minho murmured against her hair. "And I see you, every day, all of you." Zara joined them on the balcony, squeezing between them. "Group hug," she announced in English before switching to Korean. "Kogadah, inus." "Family," Minho translated softly, and they held each other as the city lights sparkled below. Amara had learned something profound. It wasn't about being seen by everyone. It was about being truly seen by the right people. The ones who looked at you and saw not what you could do for them, but who you really were, and loved you anyway. She was no longer invisible. She was home. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us what you think. What would you have done in Amara's situation? Would you have trusted Minho? Let us know below, and don't forget to like this video.